What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here. Delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. You can head to the link in my description below. Sign up, get a free graphic novel from me. So please do support the channel. Get our books. That's the whole point here. All right, this is Red Handed by Matt Kindt. Matt Kindt is one of my favorite comic creators, for those who are new. For those who are aware, he's been doing a lot of work lately, and I'm very excited about this. I don't know if this is new printing or it just came out like this or whatever, but this is a hardcover that of his Red Handed, which is his own sort of deal. And I believe this is kind of an older work of his. You get a nice dust jacket and you get a cool little drawing on the inside. The cool part about Matt Kindt, there's a little stop sign on the back, is he does these little drawings. There's green at the beginning and then stop at the back, right? That have meaning. Everything has meaning to what he does, and he likes to play with the format so that you can get into things. Now, I saw this online. He was doing actually a sale on this and doing a sketch in here, which every one of these has a unique sketch from his sale, which I really appreciate. Cool stuff. He wrote and drew this. He's been doing mostly more writing lately, but he came to prominence by doing his own art also, and he's got a very unique style. I believe it's his wife who does the colors on his stuff. I could be wrong on this one. I know on Department H and things like that he does. I can't tell here. But this is a very interesting thing. So he takes a bunch of stories of crimes that are happening and then shows in the newspaper how they're being caught, and then there's this whole back plot going on with a mastermind who's kind of building up to this big moment, and it all kind of goes wrong. I won't spoil the whole thing because it is one of those that is better if you unfold what's going on and you kind of discover what's going on through the course of it. So I don't really want to do that because I'd like to encourage people to read this. It's very good. But I'll go through as much of it I can to kind of go over this. So it starts out with these gazettes, and you get these little panels where this Detective Gould, who's named after the fellow who made Dick Tracy, it's definitely a nod back to that. Matt Kindt is very good about referencing the pulps and things like that. Another reason why I like his work. We get this sort of background. Then we show up and you sort of see his whole deal. And this is a really weird first crime right here, which is a lot of fun. And you start to see this gal. When she commits a crime, she ends up stealing chairs from places, and she has a whole reason and a whole backstory that makes that make sense in a creepy and weird way. And over the course of what goes on through here, she gets you get her story, but she gets uncovered by the detective at the end. And you get a whole scene here where the detective is going over his thoughts on crime and things like that with somebody else, which you kind of again learn at the end what's going on there, and so I don't want to spoil that. Each one of these is a little vignette about thieves. This is an art thief who steals some crazy art, and also kind of is very weirdly messing with women throughout the course of this, and then he ends up chopping up the art in order to sell little pieces of it, and eventually he gets caught again, and you learn the backstory. Now, all of these do end up being tied in together to some extent towards the end. These people have their own sort of deal. You get again this Detective Gould pulpy sort of vignette through here. His wife, there's a big thing going on with his wife in here. It took me a while to get into Matt Kindt's art. He actually has a lot going on, and he's really good at setting scenes, really good at I guess communicating the story through the art. But he has a very unique style that's very different than a lot of comics, and maybe a little it's not 100%, it's more impressionistic than anatomically correct here, as you can see. And not hyper detailed all the way with some of these faces, but the expressions really do come across really well throughout all of this, despite that. But it took me a while to get used to it. That didn't happen in this book. I of course have enjoyed him far before this, and this one's about a writer, so you get to see this whole pulp novel that she's created. Another pulp novel she's created. And he does this, again, he plays with the formats. You get the back of it, so you get the little blurb, and it does tie into the story. And that's another cool thing about Matt Kindt stuff. But yeah, so I got used to his art back in the day, I think when I was reading Mind Management. And once you do kind of got to get used to that hyper stylized look. The colors are all watercolors in all of these, which is really neat too. It's something that you don't see very often. And it ends up very enjoyable once you get into it. I sped through this because, like, I mean, I just could not put this down. I found this very delightful. You get a magician in this one, this little vignette, and it all starts to come together towards the end. All right. Again, I just don't want to spoil the end of this, so I'm not going to go over too much of it, but I just kind of highlight a couple pages of art for you. But it's good stuff. There is a awesome overarching story that does unfold through this, and you might even have to go back and read some of the details a couple times. I did, but when you find it, you're like, wow, this is more well done than I thought it was going to be. So cool stuff. I'd actually call this a 10 out of 10. This is an enjoyable book on every single level here, and I highly recommend people read it. Hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.